Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Anna's Book of Baroque class. We are in the third weekend of ArtVenture and part 2 for Anna, Finnabair Dabrowski. I can't pronounce her very last name. So, what was it? It starts with a P.
Yeah, well, the right Polish pronunciation is Dabrowska.
Dabrowska. Well, very cool. Anyways, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for having us today. What a way to start out a video. Okay, take it away, Anna.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the ArtVenture class. Today, we are going to use whatever we have left in our kit from the previous class, and we are going to look a little bit at the possibilities of using the mica powders in a little bit different way. So again, we're going to use them for painting, but now I want to show you another cool technique, I think. And we are going to decorate the book cover, but you can easily adapt these techniques for making a canvas or anything else. So suggested surface is a book, and I have Prima mixed media book from a couple of years ago. You can use chipboard journal, but it may be a canvas, or you can take one of the old hardcover books that you may buy somewhere in the free market. And the only difference here is if you're going to work on the old book or the one which is hardcover with the glossy coating, the first step is going to be slightly different because you will need to put gesso first, just in case, because these surfaces, you never know what is on the top. And although we are going to stick paper, you will need to put just an extra coat of gesso, let it dry, and then we will start from there. Because I realized many times these old books, they have some kind of paint or pigment that will really bleed through the gesso. So if you're using these, that will be one extra preparation step. So that is just letting you know, we're going to start with one coat of gesso, drying it, and then we will go like just today we are going to start. Okay, so that is an idea. With the canvas, you don't need to do anything. It's going to be absolutely perfect. And as before, we are going to do everything step by step. I will try to keep you all on track. I will be showing the products, I will be explaining why we do things, and we are going to create something based on the colors which are in the mica powder set. So you can go in my direction, going more into golds and browns. But if you would like to add other colors from that set or anything else you may have on the table, there is no problem. It's just technique. And we are going to go through that all together. So I will just check if there are any questions before we start. And I have to tell you, I'm very excited to be here. It's a huge pleasure. And again, in the great company, the ladies here are absolutely wonderful. They are very, very helpful. So don't be shy. Ask for help if you need it. And we are here for you. And I hope you're going to enjoy. So see you very soon on the other side of the camera. I'm going to flip it. And I'm checking if there are any questions before we start.
Doesn't seem like anyone's asking any questions, Anna.
No, I don't think so. They are all ready. So let's have a look at the surface I picked for today. It is, I'll just put the chair away. Yeah, I keep standing when I do the classes and videos, so you can imagine how it is. I have tall table, so this is a good thing. Okay, so I have very similar, sorry. Oh, that's better. Very similar book to the one I was using before. And this is very sturdy kind of chipboard, completely solid. It's not going to react with water in any way. It's going to be ready to work on, no preparation needed. So one thing I'm going to do first is to remove the covers, so I'm not going to make the pages dirty by accident. And I'm not sure if you know, but if you have these spiral bound books, it's easy really to open the wire with your fingers and then close it with your fingers later, and you can take the covers off. So it's convenient, and these are safe. So this is our first step. I will try to show you the details now in the corner of the book. We are going to start with adding tissue paper. We have tissue paper in the kit, and you can see this is quite light colored and transparent product, and it's getting even more transparent when you are sticking that on the surface. So the first step we have to do is to remove this dark brown color. So we are going to go with the coat of white gesso. You may have gesso in tube or in the jar. I'm going to use Art Basics Heavy Gesso from my collection for Prima. And both the front and the back of the book I'm going to paint, because we are going to make the back matching the front. So this is our first step. And if you are planning to paint with gesso, I suggest larger brushes because it's simply faster and more efficient. So I'm taking this brush you can see here. Okay, so our first step is going to be adding gesso. I just try to I'm doing my best to make it a little bit more quiet, but I can't. It's maximum. Okay. So first step, we are putting the gesso on. We could use white acrylic paint, but usually it's more expensive. So once we have gesso in the kit anyway, it's going to be a very good start. Gesso is a primer, so it's going to be perfect surface to work on. Everything will be matte, not absorbing, and it dries fast. So we have plenty of advantages. Gesso is a good choice. And of course, because of that, the original colors of the tissue paper are going to be visible, and we are not going to get that dark and not very flattering result as we would with directly on the chipboard. So two backgrounds, both of them, we go with the gesso and then we dry. One coat is enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to make the background lighter. One even coat. So if you were using the old book, that would be your second coat of gesso now, the one that is going to go on the previously primed book, because as I said, I would not trust the old covers. They usually are very moody. They make some unexpected color bleeding. So once first coat of gesso is completely dry, it's going to stop this bleeding through probably quite well. So you won't have these surprising smudges on your project by accident. Although I've seen situations when it was bleeding anyway, so just don't get frustrated. We're going to paint it anyway, so it's okay. Now, drying matte. I keep forgetting about using the matte. So heat resistant surface. And we are going to dry it with the heat gun or the hair dryer. You can see gesso gets a bit transparent when it's drying. It's very usual, and it happens to all of the gessos which are white. So if you feel you want super white effect, you would need to get 2 coats instead of 1. But for us, for now, it is not really needed. So we save our energy and time, and we only make 1. Now, lazy drying. And in the meantime, I will have a look at the design of my tissue paper to pick the best parts. I think this part is going to be really nice. I'm going to see how long the piece is going to be. Oh, not too long. So I will cut it more or less in half. One is going to go on the front. One is going to go on the back. So for the next step, once you will feel your gesso is dry, we're going to work on these effects in the background that are going to be visible mostly in the corners. And if you don't have a lot of tissue paper, you can just use it in selected parts of the book, but we have really big sheet of the tissue paper, so this way you can just pick the full piece and stick it on the top. I have 2 of them ready. Now, next product, some kind of the soft gel that is going to be sticky and liquid. For example, soft gloss gel, that was the one I suggested, or soft matte gel, that is a second one that is going to work from Prima, from Art Basics collection. If you don't have any of these, any other very sticky gel medium or Mod Podge is going to work. It's just something that is going to work as a glue and as a sealer on the top. And this one is a very good solution. So again, bigger brush. Is everything okay so far? Everybody's getting there. Looks like there are no questions. I take soft gloss gel and I will stick my tissue paper on the top. This is very efficient, time efficient and cost efficient way of making pattern background for your mixed media project. So I will put a coat of the soft gel. You don't have to worry about these little holes. Later we're going to clean them up anyway. So just try not to put big lumps of glue in there. Okay, and then try to fit your paper in the best possible position. Tap it on the top. Try not to pull the paper because it is very fragile and easy to tear. So it's much better just to press it. And then the next step, you can varnish on the top with the same product, soft gel. So it's going to make everything more sturdy, harder to scratch, and protected. What is great about tissue paper, you can rip it into patches and you can make really nice layered collage background, putting one paper over another. So this way you're going to get really multi-layered effect, and you can combine it with layers of inking with the permanent ink, layers of painting with the semi-transparent permanent paint. So all that is going to give you more interesting effects. Tissue paper is really, really multi-purpose product. So if you are into experimenting and you like working on the flat layers, for example, as a journal page or a cover of your book, that is very good product to play with. Thank you, Jason and Nancy. We repeat the same step with the second part of the book, second cover. Coat of the gel. And then pressing down the paper on the top. Oh, I almost glued my finger on the cover as well. Same story, pressing and then varnishing. Now the coat of varnish. Sorry, I kept hearing myself in the second device and it was very annoying. And then I realized I know what the problem is. I had to plug in the earphones in it. And that is solving the problem. Okay, so two of the papers are glued and varnished. Now, before drying, instead of cutting off the excess, you can just try to rip off the edge. Usually when it's very wet, it comes off easily. It may also stick to your fingers because gel medium is a very, very strong glue. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to scratch the edges a little bit in a moment, but just more or less. And the same with this one. Trying to take off the excess of the paper. It's better to do it when the gel medium is wet because it comes off easier. Usually just pull it down. And then it's probably not a surprise. Our next step is drying. So we will have that surface ready to go. You can see my finger is washing already. I have pattern on my fingers because of the tissue paper, but it's okay. So now moment to dry it until it feels tacky but dry. And again, lazy drying. I will let it dry a little bit and I will wash my hands, so I will get rid of this tissue paper on my finger. Much better. Trying one more minute and we will be able to clean up the edges of the covers a little bit more. This is a soft gloss gel, so it is going to be glossy after drying. If you have the matte version, it's going to turn matte, but the result is going to be very similar. So now before doing anything else, you can take some kind of distressing tool and just get rid of the excess paper and making the edges a little bit more aged using the tools like that. This is one of the old Prima tools. You can use anything that is going to scrap the edge, for example, traditional distressing tool, or if you are into interesting solutions, pedicure tool is going to work really well as well. Please excuse my dog. Apparently there's bird invasion in our garden. And who knows what else? We are not really sure what they are seeing. Okay, so this way you're going to get really nice, a little bit rough on the edges effect. And then we do the same to the other one. This idea is also helpful to make sure the paper is really sealed together with the background. And if there are any places that are missing the glue, you're surely going to find them now. So you will have a chance to patch that part with extra glue if needed. Okay. Remove the mat. So we have two nice surfaces to work on. You can feel it's slightly tacky, but once the soft gel is not so hot, it starts to feel dry, and it means it's going to be ready for the next step. Is everything okay? Do you need anything to be repeated or explained? Perfect, perfect. Thank you. So it is important to dry the surface because we're going to use the stencil now. And if the gel is going to be sticky, you may stick your stencil to the cover by accident. And then when you're going to pick it up, it may rip part of the paper off. And that would be a shame. So it's better to dry and make sure it is ready. Now we're going to create the texture, the one that you can see all over the book cover. And the stencil that was in the kit, it was this really nice floral design I made. It's inspired by the vintage wallpaper. So really nice design and large as well. So it's going to be visible in the combination with other elements. Now there are two options. The original and the suggestion was modeling paste, which is white after drying. So the stencil design is going to be more visible. The other option is transparent 3D gloss gel or 3D matte gel. And this one is going to make the dimensional effect visible but transparent. So you are going to see more of the background. Both of the effects are going to be interesting and kind of similar, just one of them will be more bold, the one with the modeling paste, while the one with the 3D gloss or 3D matte gel is going to be more subtle. So it's really up to you. You can use any of this product. We are going to go with the original idea of the modeling paste, which is going to dry white and flexible. And you may use the one in the jar or one in the tube. It's really up to you. It's really consistency of the paste and like toothpaste, and it is easy to spread with the palette knife or with the silicone tool, whatever you have in your hands. I usually use my silicone brushes. They're well-loved brushes, but it's easy to clean the blade, which is the most important. So at this point, I'm going to prepare the paste and
Will
to
it
check
work, Anna, will it work with glass bead gel?
If you're using similar kind of the design to me, which means there are big spaces, like the bold design, it should work. If you have very delicate design, when the spaces are very tiny, the beads may not go through it. So you have to look at your stencil as well. With this kind of large spaces, you know, big holes, it should be okay. If you have tiny, you know, very thin spaces, very small spaces, beads may get into, you know, on the way, and the design may not be as crisp. So the answer, it depends on the stencil you have on your mind. But in general, yes. So that is good choice as well, but the stencil has to be chunky enough. Okay, I will take this one. In fact, I have opened one already. Yeah, I'm trying to use the ones which are opened, so I'm not going to open another packaging, trying to be savvy. And we need to repeat similar step on both front and back. Are you open or not open? Just a second. Open button, start. There's something blocking on the way. Some kind of dried piece. Ta-da-da-da. So now, try to put the stencil in the position which is going to cover most of the cover. And especially on the front part, you don't have to be too perfect because we are going to cover the middle anyway. But corners will be visible, so you can start in the corners and just spread it like icing on the cake. Perfection is overrated, so it doesn't have to be super beautiful. This is kind of a grungy project anyway, but spreading them paste with the silicone brush or the palette knife. Sorry, I lost the word. I can imagine it is annoying sometimes. I don't have to go in the middle. I can save some product if I want to, just sticking to the corners. Let's see if I can, remove the cap. Yeah, will be much easier. Oh. So this is the way we create extra texture, which is going to add very beautiful effect to the cover. And then lifting that up, we get our design. This is the moment when you can clean off the excess. Really pretty. And then we repeat the same on the other part of the book, but this time, because it's going to be the back, you may want to do it on the whole book. I will take a baby wipe and clean the stencil first, so there will be no smudges. So the tip from the very messy person: if you don't want to have suspicious smudges, use the baby wipe first and dry it with the paper towel or the kitchen roll, depending how you call it in your part of the world.
Now, if your piece is bigger than the stencil, what would you suggest to do, Anna?
I would do a combination of like a zigzag, one corner in the middle and then the other corner on the bottom. So there's something going on, but it doesn't have to be covered everywhere. So you can just go like 1, 2, 3. Like this way we have like a visual triangle, and you can make nice, interesting look. And it's going to look balanced, even if it's not going to be covered with anything. So it's going to work on the back and on the front. So 3 is always a good number. So you can go like 3 patches. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Just triangle. And this way, we still have our balance and we have visual, interesting elements, but we don't have to worry about matching the design perfectly and moving the stencil, because sometimes the stencils are just designed this way. It is not possible. So that's a very good trick you can do. And triangles are always good. So now I repeat the application. And in the meantime, I can start drying the first book cover. Is everybody okay so far?
We have a question. It says, is my tissue supposed to be adhered? It is not in some places.
Yes, it's supposed to be adhered. That means there was not enough gel medium, or it wasn't sticky enough, depending on which product you were using. It could be not as sticky as the gel medium, or you didn't put enough of it. So please try to put more and seal it on the top. This paper should let it go through and seal everything. So now would be the good time to wash your stencil. Don't let it dry. So if you have a water bucket like I do here nearby, just throw it in, or go to the baby wipes and clean it. Remember, modeling paste is permanent product, flexible, just like gel medium. So it is going to be very hard to remove from your tools if it's going to dry on them. So in fact, the best solution is to just clean it right away when it's wet, because it is easy to clean off with water. And you can see I just put this pattern over everything. You still see the tissue paper, but at the same time, we have this very bold flowery design. I'm going to put it on the side because this one we're not going to use now. I will put it in the dry place to dry naturally. And I'm only going to focus on drying the front cover. That's good. You can see what happens if you leave it alone for too long. It may bubble. It's going to come down in a moment, but this is what happens if you overheat some of the art mediums. They may create a funny bubble like this one here. It's not a big problem, but it's good to know it may happen. So maybe 3 more minutes and we will start talking about the next step. Have you got any questions? No question drying. Perfect. As you can see, I'm checking with my hand if that feels dry enough. And it should be okay. So now, even if we touch it with our fingers, we're not going to ruin the design. So we can work on the top easily. And it's not a problem to just add elements or move the things around. There will be no damage. Now, time to get elements. Oh, here. So we have our background ready at this point. The most important techniques on the background are done. We have the design with the print, which is visible. We have dimensional white texture or dimensional transparent texture if you use transparent product. And now we are going to use that as a base for our composition. You can see I only made composition on the front. It is just because it's easier to work in a book if the back is not too wobbly, because if you have something on the back, and this is not just an album where you're flipping pages, it's more a notebook or diary, it is hard to write in it if you add something on the back. So we focus on the front cover. And for this design, I suggested to prepare one set of the elements from the mold. It doesn't matter if you are going to use elements made with resin or with paper clay or air drying clay or anything else. It's just to have them done. So that mold, grungy frames, it is all here already prepared with the resin, and we are going to use elements to make the composition on the front of the book. We have large frame and then several smaller elements. And from the last week in the kit, I still have some of the flowers left. I left 2.5 flowers and 2 flat flowers. some of the gears, as you can see, and a lot of small pebbles. I even have some leaves if I want to use them as well. So that is our main element for the composition. And we're going to start with the larger elements first, and then we'll go to the smaller ones. When it comes to the product used for gluing, we have options again. You may have still modeling paste, the same one that we were using for making the composition with the stencil. So you can use that. It is very strong, good glue. Another option, 3D gloss gel or 3D matte gel. That is another option, or heavy body gel. This is the product which I really use for dimensional gluing most of the times because I'm lazy and I like my product to be super thick and super sticky. And this is the one which is the heaviest, stickiest, and thickest of them all. So for my gluing, it's the ultimate solution for everything. But all of them work. Paste, modeling paste, and 3D gel, they just need slightly more drying time. And this is still sealed, so let's go with the heavy body because it's open. Oh, I was using that not so long ago, I can see. There's some interesting red marks inside. This is a transparent gel medium, but even if you're using modeling paste, which is white, we're going to paint the front of the cover, all the embellishments with white gesso. So you're not going to see modeling paste marks anyway. Prepare my tools because you never know, you may need to break something or to cut something. I'm just checking before we go to the next step. Are we okay to go? Have you got your elements ready and your glue and elements with mold elements ready? I don't want to go too fast. I just need to check on you. Good to go, Susan said. Okay. Ready. Perfect. So if you look at the composition here, we have one large element, and this is this frame, which is going to take most of the space. And it's really decorated anyway, but what we can do, we can layer elements to make it more interesting. This is a Baroque style, and Baroque is very much into over embellishing everything and adding multiple elements and layers. So as you can see, we are going to start with the large piece and then fill it with other elements. So my best suggestion is to bring the big elements in front of you first. So we have these large flowers, and we have the frames. These are the ones that are going to go first. And then we're going to fill the empty spaces and add the smaller details. So this way, it's going to be easy to do it step by step. There will be not too much overthinking. Okay. Because I would like to make this composition a little bit in a nice balance, I'm going to move it to one of the sides. Let's say closer to the left or closer to the right. Here you can see I use that because I wanted to include the flower on the side of the frame, and then I extended that composition a bit. So this is going to be the reason why I'm putting that off the middle. And first of all, I'm going to just stick the large frame. in general, people say that in composition, it's better if the most important element is not in the middle. But in certain designs, it is crucial that the focal point is in the middle. It's a very strong composition, very striking. And sometimes you just want to do that. And it is your conscious decision to do so. So you may see a lot of my projects, they have the main element in the middle, in fact, and it's also okay as long as you balance that with other elements correctly. So we are going to add second frame to that as well in a moment. We're going to combine it with flowers. So if you're worried that you're going to see too much of the gel, you can now pick it up with your brush and clean up the space. So now, let's see, how can we add another element in here? I have this frame with big flower inside, and I have another frame I can use if I want to. So I can multiple the frames, or I can even go like this to create more interesting look. So I have more of the flowers in the frames in that composition. Just need to make it a little bit more flat. And then I would like to extend it to the back. So in a way, 3 frames are going to add interesting rhythm to the whole design as well. There are some smaller bits and pieces like the mini frames, and if you'd like to use them as well, remember you can break them into smaller pieces. For example, like this. You can add them as an extra detail later. And what about half of the flower? Because there is this solution where the flower is partly hidden under the frame. So there are 2 ways. Either you can break the frame and make the flower slide, or you can cut the flower in half. There are 2 options. I don't know which one is easier for you. I'm going to cut the flower. It's not too hard to do if you have strong scissors, but it's good to know it is possible to do. So easy enough. Now we can pretend this flower is hidden under the composition. See? So I would start with gluing the biggest elements first. So I'm starting to stick the big flower, half of the big flower. Trying to put it as close to the frame as possible. If you want to, you can combine it with the extra frame. Just need to make it shorter. Oh, because it's too long. That will be perfect. I can stick my second frame. Here I will put really a lot of gel because it's going on the very uneven surface. And I will stick this large metal flower inside. Now we can think how to fill the space inside of the frame. Here I solved the problem because I was using layers of other petals, like other flowers, and this is not really a problem because we can combine this effect easily as well. So you just slide elements one under another. You get really dimensional, interesting look. I'll just show you that a little bit closer. So this is another interesting trick, and we can combine it with another frame with another flower, and then we'll have a very nice visual triangle, but not so obvious as it sometimes is. I'm trying to think about adding more of the frames here. But I don't like the shape, I will have to break it. This poor leftover of the flower, I'm going to fill with some other element, but first again, the frame. Another option is this big round square frame, but I think oval frames together, they will give you more elegant look. This is the beginning. Okay, so now I'm adding extra details. First of all, I'm going to put this large cog inside of the flower to make it look a bit more interesting, because this poor leftover petals, they were not too pretty. And now we're going to look at our gears that we have here and think what we can do with them to make it all look a bit nicer. First of all, this one can go close to the flower to make this a bit more fun. And again, these elements are a bit annoying, so I'm going to cut two of them off, so it's easier to stick my gear in the place I wanted that to go. And for the good measure, I'm going to do similar gear on the other side, as close to the frame as possible. The ideal situation will be under, but we cannot do that, so I'm going to mark it as under. So our gears are going to make another visual triangle. see what else have we got. I'm looking for the interesting details. And I really think I would like to add this little frame here as well, somehow. Just not sure how yet. Oh, I think I found the best solution. Perfect for something inside, like a little pebble. Now when I'm thinking, I'm really tempted to put this gear in under the frame, in fact. I would prefer it to be more compact. Another advantage of the gel is you can just lift elements and move them around. So this is what I did. Okay, another little gear that can go on the top. And I'm not going to stick the pebbles yet. I will keep them until it is done with painting with gesso, because I would prefer them to keep the color as close to transparent as possible. I'm thinking about adding one more layer inside of the frame. Just a moment. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to lift it and add one more layer. Sorry for the dog. Excuse me. So with building of your composition, it's good that you don't really have instant glue. Przestań. Because this way you can change your mind and move the things around. So this is what I did. I added one more layer here. So again, a closer look. A very nice composition getting already. I have plenty of little pebbles I can add all the way around. Now I'm trying to think if I can fit any more of these somewhere, leftovers. So I don't really have anything left. Like my private challenge. Use all of the embellishments you can. This is not nice. No, this one is not nice. So once you are done with the big elements like I'm done, this is the moment when we will start drying, and we will make sure it is dry completely. So it's up to you to make the decision if this is ready for now or not. I have one small frame left, one large cog I didn't know what to do with left. And that would be it. So I'm really trying to make sure everything is going to stay in place. And of course, my pebbles, the delicate finishing touches, they're going to be added after gesso, after everything will be painted with gesso. I didn't really want to add leaves for a certain reason. These leaves are very sharp. And if it's a book, it will be annoying if I keep pricking my finger with these, or it will just be very easy to remove these by accident. So I avoided leaves in this part of the composition for this reason. But this is my way of thinking. You don't really have to follow that as well. It's really your design and up to you. Oh, power is out. Oh no. Be careful and stay safe. So now is a good moment for a short break if you need to grab something to drink or to run to the restroom or do anything else. This is going to be the drying time, like next 5 to 10 minutes before we're going to move on. So if you have any questions before that, I'm very happy to answer.
Okay, you guys, go ahead and put your questions in the chat, and we'll have Anna answer them when she comes back, but we'll take a 10-minute break right now. So we'll be back. It is 10:14 a.m. here in California, United States right now, and we'll be back at 10:24. Thank you.
Once everything is dry and we can touch it safely, nothing seems to be moving, this is the moment when we can start adding products on the top. So before we're going to put any paint or wax or spray, it's good to make sure everything is primed and ready. When it comes to the book cover, it is glossy finish with semi-glossy finish. It is not going to absorb too much. It will be easy to clean off anything of it if you want to. But we want to recolor all of the embellishments. We want to make sure the metals are going to have this custom color we're going to put on. We would like to make the frame look nice and vintage. So we need to put some kind of a primer, and at the same time we can remove the dark color using white gesso. So medium-sized brush, and I would say 2 coats are going to be enough. The trick is to put the gesso in small portions. It's much easier to change the color of something dark if you're going to put 1 coat, thin, dry it, and then put a second one, because this way the gesso is going to go on the gesso, and that means it's going to cover much better. So now just going on the top of embellishments with a brush and gesso. If you're going to paint a bit of the background around, it's not a problem at all, because we're going to go over the design a little bit anyway, and this is not the coloring book, so we can go outside of the line. Yeah, so for that, he is feeling very protective. And as I said, there are birds in the garden.
That's okay. He's making sure they don't get in.
Yes, very much so. He's supposed to be sleeping, but no, not now. As you can see, it is quite relaxing process. You can just dip your brush in the gesso, add a bit of the white coat, and move on to the next area and just brush everything bit by bit. Okay, that should be enough for the first one. And I'm going to dry it and I will repeat the process. So I'm going to dry. In a moment, it's going to be ready to go, and I'm going to put the second coat as well. It all depends which colors you're planning to put on the top later, but if you want to have it really pastel and really light, it's better to paint 2 times. Almost there. You don't really need to put anything on the back coat, back cover. And around the frame, you can just make this delicate dry brushing effect. So there's like natural blending of the background and the embellishments. It was just dry brush. I always think when you put gesso on the top of the project, and that was multiple colors before, it was hard to say if it's going to be nice or not. This is the moment when you can really see the full potential of the design, and you can decide on the colors and on the coloring, and to see like, oh, it's really turning nice, and you can see like, oh, there are really interesting structures here. So if you're one of these people who tend to panic in between steps, and if you are worried that your project is really ugly, try to stay persistent until like this point. So you just need to think about it's going to change, it's going to be painted, so you're not going to feel so worried and stressed when the things don't look nice from the very beginning. it's just saving time to put the composition in and then paint it. For me, I think it's more time efficient than painting every element separately and gluing them, because this way it's very hard to control how many elements you're really going to use, because you may end up with the half of the elements painted but not glued in. So this solution works for me much better. Now, once your gesso is dry, it's the time to decide, do you want to add your shiny details now and get them painted with wax and sprays, or do you want them to stay clear and shiny until the, to keep them really natural looking? If you would like to have some contrast, which I like to have, I would suggest to keep them ready and glue them after painting. You can always add some touches on the top. Here you can see I only used a tiny bit of brown color on my embellishments. They were glued in the very last stage of the work. That's why they're nicely visible and they catch the light in a pretty way. If I would glue them now, they will be still quite visible, but not as clean, not as crisp. So it's up to you. If you prefer them to be more shiny, keep them on the side. And this is my plan. I have them here waiting. They're clean, clear pebbles. So they're going to add extra shiny diamond detail in the last stage of the work. Now, you can close the gesso for now. It's possible we were going to use it again, but only if something is going to go wrong on the back cover. And now we can think about the color palette and adding the first colors. And this time we're going to work differently than last week. Instead of working with the it's a homemade acrylic paint, we are going to make homemade sprays, just to make it more fun and to learn a little bit more about mica powders. So I'm going to look at the powders I have. And there's also plan to use rusty brown matte wax, which is going to add this interesting matte effect in the background. So I know already one of my colors is going to be darker brown, which is in fact corresponding with one of the mica powders. And I would need something which is going to give me extra color in this composition. So first of all, this is stained wood. I need rusty brown. Just a moment. Hello, where are you? Oh. So that's metallic. I have the whole container of waxes here. I'm not cheating, I'll just show you. So I'm trying to get the one we are using now. Here it is, rusty brown. So my very strong suggestion is taking a bit of the gold color, because this is going to give us the strong highlight and a really nice Baroque vibe. So from the very beginning, you will have the brown and the gold, and you may break that with some extra color. For example, you may go a little bit into green, or you can go a little bit into one of the patina colors, so one of the turquoise or the dark gray green color. It's really up to you. I wouldn't take these two together because they're too similar. You may not see any difference. So if you like to make something with a bit of the green twist, for example, you can add a tiny bit of this teal color instead. And let's experiment with that. If you want more muted color palette, you can add this darker green. So in fact, you have two colors already in, neutral brown and kind of neutral gold. You can play with something extra. Maybe I will take, no, this one is good. So last time we were working with paints. Now we're going to make sprays, shimmering sprays. And this is the gold spray I made already. In fact, I have it from the moment when I was making a sample for you. So I decided not to throw it away. I just keep it safe. And I will show you now how you can create your own spray. Mica spray may be done in two ways. It may be done just as mica and water and some of the fluid medium to make it permanent. Or you can even add some paint inside. And this is going to be another form of product. You can combine liquid acrylics with mica powder and water to create colorful shimmering sprays. And this is very interesting technique. So I also recommend. Today, we're just going to make shimmering sprays with water and fluid medium. So what you need is a bottle. Doesn't have to be full. You need mica powder and fluid medium. I have some fluid medium here as well. And something to take mica out of the container and put it into the bottle. For example, palette knife. So I open one of these. I try to keep everything clean as much as possible, but you know, mica is mica. Okay, so let's say I'm going to take a portion of just like half of the teaspoon for half of the bottle. Maybe a little teaspoon is going to be like this. Half of the teaspoon and similar amount of the fluid medium, like half of the teaspoon. There's no strict formula here. I just figured that works well with the saturation and permanent effect. So that should be ready for mixing. What is the advantage of the fluid medium here? It means it's going to stay much better on our project. It is going to be almost like completely permanent spray. So if you want to touch it with your fingers later, there will be no problem. So there's usually a little bowl inside of a bottle. So you can mix it nicely. And then we can spray nice groups of color to make our project a bit colorful. I would suggest to put more gold and less of the green because the brown is going to be the neutral. So we just want delicate touches of the green teal color. If you're not sure if it's spraying, check on some baby wipe. This is completely new sprayer, so no problem. Now you are going to spray, but we are not spraying from 1 meter away. We're going to go quite close. And we are making nice puddles of color. Also on the background, and the same on the background here. If you don't know how to do it, you can think about like going from corner to corner. And now if you want the colors to blend, you can spray right away. If you would like them to be more separate, this will be the moment when you're going to dry it first. Also check if you want to remove some of the cover, some of the color maybe. So that means if it's too much in some places, you can now come and pick it up. It's not going to be too late yet. Okay, so let's do quick drying. And you will be able to test if you added enough of the fluid medium to make it permanent or not. It's really nice effect because it is showing the details of the stenciling really nicely. In the meantime, just to experiment a little bit, you can have a look at Prima flowers. I'm trying to find something which is going to be more interesting. Not just single petal. Here it's almost dry enough, so now I can add a bit of the other color to add some extra interest, but not too much. We're just playing with the concept of in the meantime, this will get dry as well. Now it's very pastel, but we're going to make it darker and grungier just in a moment. We especially need to make sure the embellishments are dry, so there are no hidden drips of water, because we are going to use wax on the top and that is water resisting. I'll get the paper towel and try to clean off the excess. How is everybody doing? Yes, repeating the steps of making the sprays, very simple steps. You take the bottle of the sprayer and tap water, just water. You take your mica powder and fluid medium. This is going to make the spray permanent. Then, when you are getting, for example, the proportion, we had a half of the bottle of the water, I would say half of the teaspoon of the mica powder and half of the teaspoon of the fluid medium. Put it all in the bottle, shake well, ready for spraying. I hope that helps. But it's like more or less, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly half of the teaspoon. It may be more if you want to be, you know, more of the water. But remember, if you put too much, it's going to be too thick, and then the sprayer may start clogging. So I would say half of the teaspoon is really enough. So we have our first like blank canvas ready. Now we are going to start layering colors to make it look more fun, more shiny, more grungy, depending what we want to get. But first of all, it's really interesting to see if our product is really permanent, right? Because this is important. So if you're touching that like me with your finger, look, it doesn't really stay on my finger. It's really sticking. So we succeeded. The formula was right. The fluid is holding that in place. I'm taking the, clean part of the paper towel, maybe, right? Okay. And nothing is coming off. So this is why the fluid medium is making huge difference in the product. And also because of that, you can use it on almost every surface and it's going to be permanent solution. So if you're looking for the permanent spray, you can make your own at home using that technique easily. So it's good to know. And next important thing, we need a brush for our wax. And we're going to use two sizes of the brushes, one a little bit bigger to go everywhere, and one smaller to go into details. I'm trying to find the brush that was used already with the similar color. This one is surely a small one. Yeah, this one looks a bit like it was used already. I'm just going to clean it a little bit, and we are going to add rusty brown matte wax to our surface. How are you doing? And do you need any help? Do you need me to repeat anything before we go to the next step? The reason I made only half of a bottle is because it really lasts for a long time, and maybe I would like to make another color, so I prefer to make half of the bottle instead of the full bottle, because later I'm just going to stay with quite a large amount of the product and I would need to keep using it. So unless you have a lot of bottles, I would suggest making smaller portions so you don't have to keep them forever. Okay. So now we're going to take the matte wax. It's going to be adding the matte agent to our project. It looks a little bit like chocolate truffle. And our job is now to brush it around the embellishments to create this darker effect, to add more drama to it. And we will try to brush it in the details. So it is going to, that's a good question. How long you can save the blending in the bottle? The longest I had it, it was 1 year, and it didn't react in any way. I didn't see any difference. And the one that I'm showing you, this golden one, I made the sample, I think in February or March. And since then, I have it in the bottle. I never really used that much. So this is the one I made when I was making this project for you. So a few months is the safe answer. Long time. It doesn't, there's nothing organic in it, so it doesn't break. And if you want to make sure it's even safer, once you finish, you can clean the nozzle here, try, make sure it's not clogged with mica. So it's going to extend the life of the sprayer even more. So that would be the solution. So now, taking a bit of that wax and waxing around and inside of the design. I know you feel like, oh my God, we are making that so ugly now, but it's supposed to be grungy. So we have to add a bit of the darker colors as well. And I suggest to work in sections, which means brush a little bit, push that inside, and then take a baby wipe or the kitchen towel and clean off the excess. If you have a dry baby wipe, it's even better because you can clean off easier. But this way you reveal the details, like the tops again, and the wax is only going to stay in the bottom parts of the composition. So in fact, wiping is showing the details again the way we want them to be visible. I'm just going to show you first section rubbed. Okay. So it's rubbing, brushing the matte wax and then rubbing off the tops. So it's going to be possible to see the dimension. And my favorite tool for that is in fact dry baby wipe, because they are much more hard to break than any others. So very good tool. Now I'm brushing another section. And you can see it, the spray is visible even through the wax. So it's not like you're going to cover everything completely. There's some transparency in it. Another part of the design, we go around. The reason I'm doing that in section is I don't want the wax to be completely dry because it gets permanent. So once it is permanent, it's hard to take off. So it's better to move in sections. And this way you can just easily get the result you want. And another section. If you're the fan of antiquing, if you did any kind of furniture antiquing effects, this is probably something very familiar, because waxing the furniture, it has some similar techniques included in that. So that may feel like you've seen it or you've done it before. I'll just make sure I brushed everything the way I wanted, and I will show you the details up close. There's one flower I just knocked by accident, and I have to do something about that in a moment. Also, you can brush more of the wax into the background in some selected parts if you'd like to add a bit more drama. And I'm going to do that and remove just a bit. Okay, up close look. Now it looks dusty and a little bit like it is covered in some kind of greasy dirt. I'm not sure if it's very appealing to say something like that, but why not? We are working on the antiquing techniques. I'm going to stick that flower that is moving because I was not careful. And I'm going to do a little bit of the same brushing on the back cover as well, so there will be similar look. And this one is going to dry. I'm not drying the wax, I'm just drying the flower that got moved by accident. Okay, so the wax is drying by itself. It's permanent product. So you don't need to dry it. In fact, it is melting when you are doing that. So I'm just going to add a bit of that dirty structure in some parts so it does match the front cover. Okay. We have a little bit of this smudge visible. Just a bit of the antiquing. It's really pretty. Shiny, but now not so shiny anymore. So again, we have the front and the back. And from here, we need to move to here. So now what we can do is to work on the highlights and then to add even more of the depth and drama. First thing we can do is to really make sure our matte wax is in every possible place. So we take the smaller brush now, pick up more of this wax and try to go into the places we couldn't reach with the large brush. So trying to brush it in some really deep parts. Sometimes it is very close to the frame. We couldn't get inside there. will be natural that in all these little spaces, this is the place where the aged look would be more visible, because that would be the place where any kind of dust would collect or any kind of stain would be collecting. So it's good to think about that as well and find all these special places and fill them with the wax. So that's why I was suggesting a smaller brush as well. Uh-oh, I just waxed the corner of my book by accident. It's okay. Are you okay so far? How is your waxing going? Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to fix the highlights in the next step. And this is important to know what to do if something is not exactly the way we want it. Because sometimes expectations are far from reality. And again, it's good not to panic. So I will show you one more thing, which is going to help if you, for example, forgot about brushing off, or you don't really feel that it was enough. You would like to have more drama, more visual effect. So we're going to do that now. So far we have effect like this, quite grungy, but maybe not exactly what we wanted. Maybe you feel like, oh, I lost a little bit too much of the color. It feels too dark, like too dusty, too brown. No problem. If you feel like that, you can take your spray again and there just apply spray in selected parts and dry it. So it's going to a little bit stick on our wax. The wax doesn't really like water, but it's going to help. So if you feel that maybe a bit more of the color, maybe I did it too far, this is one of the solutions. So I just sprayed a little bit more of gold to show you that it is going to add more of the color on the top. And now we are going to dry it with the heat gun. It's not going to be so perfect as it was with the first layer, but you can do so. It's good to know. Second option is to make paint using fluid medium and some gold and add some touches, of course. But once you have it in the bottle, it's good to know this fluid is going to hold it on the spot enough. So you can add some touches of this kind. So this is thing number one you can do to make this look a little bit more fun, a little bit more deep, not just wax. Of course, you can do the same on the back cover as well. It is not suggested technique, but sometimes we feel like, oh, I am not sure if I did it the right way. So wax is resisting a lot, so you can always add more wax if you overdid the other way. So don't worry, right? This is ongoing process. Second thing you can do is to add highlights on the top using contrasting color of the wax. So for example, if you feel like, yeah, it is really lovely, but I would love to see more of the dimension, you can go for something white, silver, or pale gold, or even turquoise here in this composition to make sure you're going to highlight the details. So that is another thing that it may make your composition more striking. And this is exactly what we did here. After adding matte wax, I rubbed on silver wax to highlight the most important parts of the composition and to get more dimensional look. So I hope you can see the difference. We're going from here to here in a moment, and that is going to give us more of the visual drama. Do you need any information to be repeated? Have you got any questions so far? Before I'm going to go to that, and this is cooling down. Silver. We used silver last week in the project, and you know, it is really beautiful highlighting color. We can use it the same way today. I needed my tube. Please show initial application. I didn't see that. Can you please repeat? Please show the.
She wants to know how you started putting the brown wax on.
Yes. I don't see that on my chat. I only saw it here on the screen moments ago. Sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
So the big brush, rusty wax. I take small portion now. It was more. You put it on the big brush, trying to make sure it's deep, deep, deep in the brush. And then start going around with the round motion, going into all the cavities you can find, right? Like you are trying to cover everything. And then you clean off the tops with the dry kitchen towel. Sorry for this. Dry kitchen towel or the baby wipe. So the tops are going to be highlighted and the bottom is going to be dark. I hope that makes sense. This flower is not cooperating today. I need to dry that part. Honestly, I think it's the third time I'm gluing this down.
I have the same thing. Some of my stuff is moving a lot today. It must be the weather.
This one is apparently very wet, so I will dry it first in here. And then I will stick it for the very last time. Of course, this is because we don't give enough time to dry it. Sometimes just better to let it dry naturally. Heat gun is not always able to get everywhere, but you know what I mean. Most of the times it's okay, but today, this one is like making our life miserable. Stay there. This is a good moment, in fact, to add more wax in here because I moved it into different position. So I'm just going to go a little bit and dry it. Hoping for the best, of course, this time. So now, to go back to the concept, once you have the brown matting wax around your embellishments and on your embellishments, and you rubbed off the excess, you start to see the dimension. You can come back to the spray and spray a little bit more to bring the color back if you want to. This was what we were doing a moment ago. And it's going to stay quite okay. It's going to be permanent enough to be in there, but I wouldn't leave it as a final layer because this is like semi-permanent effect. And of course, if you'd like to add highlight, I would suggest using another color of wax. Waxes in general, they don't like paints, they don't like water, they only like other waxes. So if you'd like to have good permanent effect, one on the top of another, using wax, it's the wax, drying, and wax,
Hey.
which means, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was muted. I was yelling at the dog. So sorry.
No worries, that was funny. It's like, what have I done? So it means if you want to have really dry wax, this drying will be like 5 minutes. Apply one color, leave it alone for 5 minutes. So this is not going to blend with the second layer. And then you can put the second one on the top. You can see this one I used just moments ago. It's already starting to set on my mat, right? It doesn't like heat gun. It is not supposed to be used with the heat gun because it, in fact, the heat gun is going to melt it. So if I had to use the heat gun here now because of this flower, I let it cool down, and then I'm going to put a second color of the wax on the top. And I told you the silver, this is the one that I have in here. And I will show you the look that we are going to get with that. And you can do it just with your finger or with the small brush, right? So we don't want to go as deep as we went all the way down with the brown. The brown is there, it's unticking, it's creating this look, it's old and dirty. Now we want to create the highlights. So you take a little bit on your brush or on your finger, I really suggest fingers. And then we are just touching the tops with the tiny bit of this color. So this way our highlight is getting even more dramatic. You see the details right away, much, much better. And everything seems to be just popping, right? So this is the way if you feel like after all this brushing, spraying, I'm still missing something. And silver color is very neutral, so you can easily go on almost every composition with the silver. And the other very popular color for this kind of technique, it's white gold, which is something between silver and gold. So this is very neutral color as well. And you can easily add a lot of very pretty highlights without making that super rich. People sometimes are afraid of the gold because they say it's very shiny, very visible. So silver or white gold may be more your cup of tea. Let me show you now what we did. You can see the details of the petals much better. And it was just a tiny bit of the silver wax. If you would like to add a little bit of the color to the background, you can, in some selected places, you can rub it on the textures you made with your stencil. Maybe. Some people like it. But again, try to be very light-handed. You don't want to recolor everything because it may happen. Waxing is very addictive, I'm just saying. So if you feel that, oh, maybe a little bit more, it's time to stop yourself. Most of the times you are close to putting too much. So again, here I can do the same thing. In some parts, I can add a bit of this color to make it more shiny. Okay, so that was second thing. We added a little bit of spray extra to make the colors more dramatic. We added the highlighting color. there's one more thing. And that is a bit of the stain, a bit of this painted stain. This is something we can do using liquid acrylic paint or any other transparent paint. But before this step, I would be happy to add my crystals. So they're going to create this nice visual drama. So this is the moment when I'm going to look for my pebbles. Yes, I'm going to look for my pebbles and I'm going to put them in the composition. So they're going to get glued down. We did something similar last week. I was waiting with putting these until last stages of the work because I think it's nicer when they are visible. Have you got any questions so far? First of all, I want to find a crystal. Oh, this one fits perfectly. Uh-oh. I wanted to find one that is going to fit inside of this frame, and apparently this size is perfect. So now I have crystal inside of my frame, and this is just great. Do you need help with anything? So now I'm going to make some kind of visual effect. So they're going to go from top to the bottom, creating some kind of visual line. I will try to find nice spaces for my crystal to go in. Usually they like to be attached to the composition or be quite close in nice small groups of 2 or 3. Just like here, we have nice group of the crystals. Pretty, shiny. And they're also adding a nice dimensional effect. If we need to fill some gaps for some reason, this kind of product is always good. Note. As you can see, I have a small brush and I'm trying to clean up the gel. Just checking on you again. Have you got any questions? Anything that you'd like to say or ask? No, this is not a good spot for it.
While you're working, why don't you tell us a little about your Patreon group, and I will post the link in the chat.
Thank you. Yes, once I'm glowing, I can tell you a little bit on Patreon groups. We have some patrons here, in fact.
Yes.
This is a group which I created at the very beginning of the pandemic, when I realized I have to start working from home because it's not possible to travel as I used to. And I decided to switch to subscription classes and events instead of hosting something from time to time. And Patreon works like a little Netflix for people who would like to be in touch with me on a regular basis and to get monthly content. So there are several tiers you can join on the group. And on the very basic one, it's like €5 per month, which is probably equal to $6 per month. You get access to just small events or larger events that are happening from time to time, and to product discounts in the shops, similar small things as support for the artist. So I can work from home and create more of the projects. But on the €10 level, which is probably $12, I would say, per month, you are already getting 2 videos or live streams per month. And every time it is something, either a full class of this kind that we are doing now, or it is a special video dedicated to composition, ways of getting inspired. So something which is not exactly techniques, but it is discussing the matters of art in general. My patrons really like that series, so that is very popular one. And the live stream is usually 2-3 hours long, and it happens usually on Saturdays. And of course it is recorded, so you can watch it anytime after that. And there's also video class, like full project video class per month. So for €10, you are able to get a lot of content. In fact, 2 classes per month. And thanks to all the support, I'm able to work from home and to do a lot of projects and to take part in the events, and not really be worried that I have to quickly change my job for something else. So I have a job, I have a group of patrons who are with me for all that time, and they say they enjoy it. And on the higher tiers, on the top of these classes, we are getting giveaways, we are getting extra little gifts sometimes. And on the €50 per month, you're getting exclusive live stream only for that group as well. So there are several things to look at. And what I love about that, we are a very supportive, beautiful family of people. So the group is, there's a group on Facebook to communicate, but we also communicate on the Patreon website. So you can see the posts, and if you allow Patreon to send you emails every time when I post something, it goes to your mailbox as well. And I'm showing a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm talking about things such as releases before they are even official. So this month, my patrons already saw part of the release which is coming, and they are first ones to know things like that. And they saw the product, they saw the project done with that. So they have some special privileges, and only them they can get it. What is nice about Patreon, it is you get access to the whole content as long as you keep the subscription active. So if you decide to join now, you get the access to 2 years of live streams and videos instantly. You just need to scroll to the post when I link them all and watch them. It's probably like a week of watching. So It will be like huge marathon of that. And if you keep your subscription active, you get this content released to you every month, and you are always on the top of things. And you get my eternal gratefulness as well. And you're the part of the group, and we all get these special things organized just for patrons. So I highly recommend, and you can join anytime and cancel anytime and come back anytime. So this is not like you have to commit you're going for 6 months or something. No, it's like 1 month. If you decide this is not for you, you just can cancel and there is no problem at all. And that is, I think, very fair, and you can have a good taste, to see what it is. And if you feel like, I have no time now, or I'm out of money now, you can stop for some time and then you can come back and you still get the access to the things we did before. So I think this is a great bargain if you'd like to have some online activities and classes, and they're all about art and mixed media. Oh, there was a lot of talking.
That sounds amazing.
It's really fun, and my patrons like it a lot. Oh, Jason and Nancy, they're patrons, they're apparently here, and Annika, yeah. So thank you very much for the support.
Oh, they got a goodie box from Ireland. It made their day. Yes. I don't blame you, Jason and Nancy. That would totally make my day too.
I remember once last year, I decided, because for a giveaway, I also prepare some gifts for the higher tiers patrons. I wanted to send a special box of the sweets and goodies from my home country, from Poland, because I was visiting Poland at that time in August. So I went to the shop and I picked the best sweets I consider to be like, staple Polish sweets, which most of people should like. So good kind of chocolates, good kind of like savory snacks. And I got some Polish folk art little pieces as well. And I put it all in the boxes. I prepared 5 of them for my patrons. I made a giveaway and I posted that in end of August from Poland. Most of them were going to the United States. And now I think they were for 3 months on the boat. So I remember so surprised because where are the boxes? I sent them already. And usually from Ireland, I think they are just having a lot of connections. So they go really quickly, 2 weeks, and they just go and you can get them in the United States or Canada, no problem. And these ones from Poland, I was just dying. Where
oh my goodness, that's crazy.
I was like, oh no, it's here and it's perfect shape, nothing smashed, everything's so great, and oh my god, it's tasty. Like, oh, okay. Like, in November. So
that's perfect.
Well, things happen like that as well. Most of the times the surprise things are either merch with my things on it. So there will be some shopping bags or mugs or sometimes t-shirts, sometimes other things, or product, of course, mixed media or Prima product. So these are the ones which we usually have in the giveaways, although sometimes we include some other surprising things like sweets from Poland, for example.
Michelle says she's a Patreon and she loves it. And Gina also says that she says, I know I will be signing up. This is so awesome. It is awesome. It sounds amazing.
It is really fun. And I'm trying not to bomb you with like daily mails because I hate newsletters myself. So I just try to post when there's something to show you. So some exclusive photos or some invitation for the event, which is happening this weekend, for example, or, important things. I'm not sending you stuff every day because it is tiring. So I try to keep it short and sweet. And also, which is nice, patrons usually have discounts for the classes. So here with the ArtVenture, there was a special discount for the patrons and they could get the access cheaper. And if I have my class on my own website, Finnabair Art Studio, they also have like permanent discount of these classes. So there are many things. And I just appreciate them so much because of them, I'm kind of feeling I'm safe. I don't have to stretch myself to the limit and I can focus on making art and videos and just doing the most important stuff, and I'm so grateful. I highly recommend. So if you're thinking about joining, give it a try. Let me know what you think. You can have it as an app on your phone. This is one option, or you can have it as a desktop on your computer. Just go to the website, log in, and you see the content. So there are two options. I do both. I have access on both devices, so this is easy. So guys, let's have a look at what we have here. I added crystals, and we are just ready for the next step, which is adding the stain and putting everything together. In the meantime, when I was talking, I poked the holes in the cover already. I used very highly specialized tool, as you can see. And that is the other side of my brush, but I just basically made sure I will be able to put the book together. So there's no special technique needed for that. Just make sure the wires are going to go through. I can repeat that on this side so you can see how I just did it. I know that sometimes my solutions seem to be hopelessly simple, but it does work. So why making any extra effort? Okay. So you know the product from last week, if you were here with us. This is liquid acrylic paint, and this is the paint which is transparent, glossy, and looks like stain. This color is called burnt sienna, and I picked it for this class because it is going to give us this vintage touch. So you can see from here to here, we are going to add a little bit more of the darker shadows and drama, and we are basically home. So join me on that journey. We're going to take a bit of the burnt sienna liquid acrylic, and we're going to take a small brush and a bit of water. You know, this is not going to be something new, but it is going to add nice detail. You can just put that into the places that you think they need a little bit more of the vintage color. And of course, you can spray some water as well. If you'd like to spray water. Okay, thank you. If you'd like them to look a little bit more natural and watercolor. This paint is not happy to be here because it's on the top of the wax. So it's going to create some interesting touches. It's going to be a bit funny in some places, but it's going to stick. You know already fluid medium is able to stick. So this one is also going to stick. And to make our shadows darker, we can use that technique easily as well. So I'm trying to find the places that I think would look nicer if they had a bit more of the darker color. For example,
Kate,
around
I'm
embellishments.
sorry, Kate, did you have a question? You have your hand raised.
Oh, yes. If you have questions, please.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Took it down. Okay, thank you.
I will show you a closer look in a moment now before drying. But you can see I'm just trying to make the colors a bit more dramatic in some parts. Especially with a small brush, it's easier to go into parts that are on the very bottom of the composition. So we can help this way. You can go a little bit on the background if you feel like that, but not too far from the main composition. It's supposed to be all sticking closely. After drying, this effect is permanent. So if you feel this is all right and you're done, that's great. But you may also add a bit more on the top of that. Let's dry it and see. I think this effect works especially well when you have some mechanical elements like gears and you like to maybe suggest they are a little bit rusty. So you can go in those places and create that effect. Or in the parts when you have really deeper shadow and you are missing that shadow, like didn't really get dark enough. More drama. So now it's up to you. Are you done? If it's dark enough, or do you want to play a little bit more? You can. I really like the effect that you get on the petals or inside of the flower because it is showing the dimensional effect so much better. I just stained my fingers permanently. And another thing, if you like, you can add some splatters. I think splatters are always good, but remember splatters, they need a bit of water in the paint. So we can get that effect easily off the brush. So I just sprayed some water in the liquid acrylic. Leave me alone. And you can get these lovely little splatters on the top. I'm going to do a bit on the back cover as well. So it's going to have something, not just the texture. Drying. No. And we're basically adding finishing touches now. So it's up to you. Do you want to add more of the highlight? If you'd like to add more of the stain, if you'd like to add more of the splatter. Just remember to make the effects permanent, it has to be dry. I will wait with putting the book together until everything is completely dry for sure, because you never know. But putting the book back into the place, it's not complicated. You just need to use the wire to put it all together again. And once everything is dry, it is permanent. So this is really a good thing that you cannot really remove these things once gel is completely dry. So this flower is going to stay in place once the bottom layers of the gel are going to dry. So you can use it as a book that you put in your bag and you take with you, or if you want to send it to somebody, there should be no problem. So I'm just going to bring a tiny bit more of the silver, because once splattering, I maybe covered a little bit too much, maybe. As you can see, it takes a moment. So everything is reversible if you really want to. And I think this is proclaimed as finished. Just need to let it dry naturally. Have you got any questions? I will just make a quick recap of what happened step by step for you. So first of all, we had a book with the chipboard cover, and we painted that with the coat of gesso, white gesso. Then we took the soft gel or any other similar liquid gel medium which is sticky, and using tissue paper, we created nice patterned background, which is now partly visible in select places of the book. I'm looking for the tissue paper now. I put it in a very good place. Tissue paper. Yes. I covered that with the coat of the soft gel as well. Our next step was using modeling paste, which is white, and the stencil to create dimensional effect. So it looks very rich and detailed. You can see these beautiful details on the cover now, the flowers. We dried everything and then we glued on the composition using the embellishments made with resin and metal ones. And I used heavy body gel. The other option is using modeling paste or 3D gel. For example, this one. And next thing is, once it is dry, putting coat of the gesso on the embellishments, so everything is primed and ready. And then we painted that with sprays we made ourselves. This was mica powder inside of the bottle together with fluid medium, which is giving the permanent factor to the spray. We used two colors, gold and turquoise. So we have a little bit different color palette to the original I was showing you. So there's a bit of the green color as well. Once it was completely dry and permanent, then we used matte wax to add this grayish brownish color. Rusty brown color is everywhere around the embellishments and inside of the composition to add extra depth. And after drying that, we played a bit with the colors to add extra look. So we sprayed a bit of gold to make it more shiny in some parts. And we added highlights with the old silver wax, which is also part of the kit. And sorry. That was giving us the highlights. After that, we were playing with the adding the missing details such as crystals, so the diamond pebbles, and playing a little bit with the stained look. So burnt sienna, it's hard to see now, but it's burnt sienna liquid acrylic paint. So this dark brown color. We splattered that color on the top as well. That's why we have these tiny dots. And in the very end, I also added a little bit more of the silver wax to show the highlights. So this way, all the steps were done and all the techniques are ready to go. And you can have a look, and you can always add more of the wax on the top, and you can decide to add more of the stain. It is possible to add these colors several times, but in general, wax is not very happy when you paint on the top, so you're not able to repaint completely. You can just add a bit of the extra touches. Don't expect wax to be working as a paint, because it is oily and it's always going to be like that even after drying. Just a side note, here is wax that we used last time. You can see it's completely permanent and dry. This is leftover of the silver color. So you can see it dries as permanent finish. So you don't really need to do anything to it as a book. But if you really want to feel super protected, you can spray some permanent fixative or varnish on the top after like 24 hours when everything is dry, and you can do that. But I never really do it myself. If a bit of wax is rubbed off, you can always re-wax. It's just like waxing the furniture. After some time, you just reapply. Sorry. So I will just show you that in a different angle. I will flip the camera and I will show you how the cover is done. And I'm waiting for any questions you may have. Oh. Hello again. I called this one, and just to compare this one. This one was with green, this one is without green. It's up to you which one you like more. So you can see this way we get really interesting effects. And we used mica powders as a spray this time. And I think this technique is also very, very nice in combination with the products, because sprays go everywhere and they penetrate quite deeply, easily. So that is great to know that you can make sprays at home very easily. Thank you very much. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Annika. I'm very happy you like it. And, you can, I'm sure, imagine different color palettes here. The key is to use some colors which are going to be lighter and more bright, and then add this matte and darker tone to add the contrast to it. And this way you're getting that balance between shiny and matte. So the effect is really eye-catching. It looks like it is naturally dirty and stained. And matte waxes are also great for imitation of the leather look. So if you would like to create something that is more like matte leather, you can use them on the larger surfaces, and it is really convincing. I made it a couple of times and like, looks really much like leather. So showing again.
So I have a question, Anna. Before the new mica sets came out, you had the older mica jars. Can you use all the same techniques with those older versions of the mica as well?
It's the same product, just different packaging. We decided to change them into color sets, so people are getting more inspired to mix and match the colors, because with the single colors, people sometimes had a lot of mica, but they didn't know what to do with it sometimes. So we think putting them in a color combination is more inspiring, but the product inside is the same. All the techniques are the same.
That is absolutely amazing.
Well, I think it's, I love big jars because you can use them for longer, but let's say the sets are pretty. They show you a really nice color combination, so you can start to think like, oh, I can put this together and it's going to work. So
Exactly.
I can see advantages in both situations. Like jars are bigger, but sets are more inspiring. So, but anyway, you can see we were using mica for like 2 projects and we didn't reuse much from the jar anyway. So this container is quite large and there is a lot of product and it goes long way. So you don't have to worry that the set is not going to be enough. Once you have the sets you like, there are 6 colors and you can mix and match easily. And sets are popular because people like pretty things and it's just nicer visual presentation, I think.
Plus, like you said, you get to try more colors, which is always fun.
Yeah, and sometimes you will find combinations you wouldn't even think they work because they are out of your comfort zone. But when I make these color combinations, I in fact work with palettes that I find online. You know, when people create palettes of colors for certain project or when they have a mood board. Oh, because they are based on mood boards. So I can see these colors before applied to a photo or project. So I make sure they work. So I really know they're going to look nice together because there's a visual including these already. So it's not like I'm taking them like think, I will take this and this. I'm not that smart. If I had to work with this color swatch, you know how many colors is in Pantone or Jesus, you just cannot. It would be mind-boggling. You can't. But if you find that you like, you think, okay, this sunset landscape looks amazing, or these flowers in the vase look amazing. You can get that as an inspiration and then make a color palette based on that. And then you are really sure they're going to work together. So that can give you a bit of a background. This is how I make these sets. I work with the images and then I find the colors matching. And then I go to the Pantone color swatch and then we try to match the Pantone to the mica powders. And this is a bit of steps, but this way, these sets are really nicely working together.
And also, if people sign up for your email, they get to see I believe it's art recipes every month, or I forget what it's called, where you combine certain items and colors.
When I don't really have that, I probably should. But when they send, we do have a newsletter for the classes, but we don't really have newsletter for the product yet. And I think this is, I probably should, right?
I think I'm talking about your, maybe it's your blog posting.
Oh,
I got. We have an art recipes thing.
Yes, this one. Yes, it is a website, finnabair.com, which is in fact the blog. And then there's my design team work, and art recipe is like a monthly challenge. And art recipe is a beautiful mood board, which is prepared according to product that we want to feature, but also with the beautiful visual to start you up. And you can take part in the challenge, and there are of course winners. And these winners, they get surprise pack of the product, and they are invited for the next art recipe or future art recipe to be the guest designer. So you are able to get your project published on our social media. So it's going to go to Finnabair Instagram, Finnabair Studio website, and it is great inspiration for creativity. And there's also product matching to the image. So if you have landscape, let's say again, and then there are products which could give you similar visual effects on your project, this is a great way of learning how to mix and match colors, textures to just get really, really cool results. So finnabair.com is my official website where my design team is posting 2 tutorials per week for free. And these tutorials are videos. So there is video 2 times per week minimum. And there are videos showing project done step by step. So if you think that you would like to learn from really talented designers and you would like to get some ideas, you'd like to get fresh ideas based on the new product, this is the place to go. These videos are all of them. They're sent to YouTube as well. So there's a YouTube channel called Finnabair Art Files, when we have all these videos from design team cumulated. And there's YouTube channel which belongs to me when I post my projects and my videos, which is called Finnabair Studio on YouTube. So if you're going to check us on YouTube and type Finnabair, you're going to find 2 channels. And if you're going to Google and you're going to type Finnabair, you're going to find my website. And this is the place where you can get plenty of inspiration and a lot of information about the product absolutely for free, without any logging in, any special social media access needed. You just need to be able to watch YouTube, or you can just go to the website and look at the website directly. So this is especially good for people who are not really into Facebook, or they're not into Instagram, because you don't need any social media account to watch that content, which is published on the website and on YouTube. So I highly recommend, visit us, join us. We really do a lot of work to make sure we show how to use the product. So if you feel this is something that you like, oh my God, you should check YouTube channels and Finnabair.com website, which is the blog, tutorials coming one after another.
I would definitely suggest to sign up for the blog emails. They are absolutely amazing. And then I'm lazy and I don't have to go to the blog, and it just comes straight to my email. Such inspiring ideas, like I said, and so much information. Does anybody have any last minute questions before we stop the recording? And then we're going to go ahead and show off our projects to Finnabair. Everybody might still be working.
Very possible.
Yeah, everybody is busy. I know I'm cleaning up because I made such a mess.
That means you made an amazing project, right?
Oh, I definitely made an amazing project because we have an amazing teacher.
Definitely.
But I also made an amazing mess.
Gina says that she looks awful, so she will post hers on Facebook. That is not a problem. So don't forget, you guys, I will post I'll post a post basically on Prima ArtVenture group on Facebook. And then we would love to see all of your pictures and your artwork, whether you finish today or finish next week or whenever.
To make a screenshot like last time.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me double check we didn't close, get your eyes closed. Oh, we did good. Perfect.
Perfect. Guys, we are really waiting for the photos of your projects. Don't feel like you have to show them now. Just know it is okay. I know you are busy and you're hardworking, but it is absolutely fine just to take photos and discuss in the group. I'm going to take photo of mine and post there as well, so you can see the details up close. And now I would like to thank you all and send huge thanks to the ladies from Gutter, to our host, of course, and to Prima, who was also big part of that. And it was all organized with the best possible teachers, and I'm so glad to be one of the persons included. So thank you so much for inviting me again.
Thank you so much, Anna. As always, we had such an amazing time from all of us at Gather, and I'm going to include Prima as well. Thank you. Yeah. Amazing class.